Got another MillerCat CAT Shield to install today, and this one is on a 2015 Lexus LX570. Hey, what's up YouTube? Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. I'm going to show you how to install this MillerCat CAT Shield on a 2015 Lexus LX570. You can see that this is the same for a Toyota Land Cruiser from 2008 to 2021. Now, since we have a 2015, our kit is coming with this earlier generation wing, which is this right here, and that bolts onto the side of the main shield. This shield is divided into 6 main parts. So there's the 2 main shields right here, driver and passenger side, and then they have these side wings that we need to attach first, and then there's also these 2 rear add-on shields that connect to the back. Now they give a really nice set of instructions here, and I recommend you follow this along. It's got pictures and diagrams and shows every step of the way. Now it shows here all of the hardware that's included right here in this bag. It also shows us the tools required. Make sure that you do wear some protective gloves and eyewear. These pieces can be very sharp, especially along those edges, so just be careful when handling them. You're also going to need a 12 and 14 millimeter socket, a ratchet, an extension. I've got some extensions right over there. We also have a torque wrench, and then I also have this little ratchet with a little bit socket on there. It also comes with a little tube of thread locker. It's the Vibratite brand. We do need to apply thread locker to all screws and bolts used to assemble a shield. And moving on here, that is our very first step. We need to attach the wings to the main shield, and it looks like we need 7 of the M8 flathead security screws. So let me put some gloves on, and then we'll apply the thread locker to those, and then we'll get this all set up. I think I'm just going to prop this up on a box to hold it up so that I can attach those shields a little bit easier. Now it says we can fully tighten these wings to the main shields. Torque spec on this is 80 to 100 inch-pounds. You don't want to use any power tools when you're installing this or assembling the shield. You really want to be careful anytime you're tightening anything on these that you don't overdo it. You know, I've done a lot of these, and so I'll usually just kind of make them snug by feel, but if you're unsure, you might want to grab a inch-pound torque wrench. All right, well, we've got the wings attached to the main shields. Let's go down underneath, and we need to remove the factory number 2 engine undercover. And it's this one right here. We need to use a ratchet with an extension and a 12 millimeter socket and take off those 4 bolts. So let's go down and do that now. Now, you're not supposed to use power tools to install the shield, but in order to take this off, I think it'll actually just make things go a little quicker. So I'm just gonna use this Milwaukee Impact and zip off these bolts. We need to save these bolts because they are gonna go back on when we put the shield back on. Now it looks like our cover might be a little bit different because in order to get this cover off, looks like I've got to take off these bolts here as well. So let's do that. Okay, now this should just slide out. Yep, that's covered in mud. We'll probably clean that up too. Now this right here is the transmission oil pan protector or cover. So we are going to be taking this off and sliding the shield underneath here, but we just need to do one side at a time. So right now we're just going to take out the driver side bolts and loosen the passenger side bolts. And those are a 14 millimeter. Hang on to these bolts that you take out because that's what we need to use to put this back up with the shield in between. I'm just going to try to do this without a helper. I'm just going to try to use my hand as a jack stand and then get these started. Just got to push this up through and just get that threaded in. All right, okay, we managed to get that without using a jack stand or another person, but I can see that that would be helpful. Just make sure to keep these loose for right now. We're not snugging anything up until we get everything in place. All right, now we need to grab the nut plate and one of the long bolts. And we're gonna just secure the rear part of this driver's side main shield up through this hole, and we just need to position this nut plate on the top. This little PEM nut part that sticks out, that needs to go facing up so that when the bolt goes in, it goes in from this side here. I'm just gonna put some thread locker on that first. Just putting it in this little nut plate, and then you're going to need to use your hand up above to hold that steady while you get it started. Again, we're just leaving that loose for right now. All right, now we're going to put the passenger side of the main shield on. So we need to take out these 14mm bolts. The instructions say that right here you're going to see a parking brake support bracket bolt, and you need to take that out. Should be right here, and I don't see one on here. Now I'm reaching up here and I still have the holes that we need in order to install our bolt to go through, so we should be fine. So in our case, since we don't have that bracket, we can go ahead and just grab the rear shield and just position this right up here, and then I'm just going to use 2 of these M8s to attach this. Okay, so we've got some thread locker on this, just need to get that started. They're really loose still. You don't want to tighten those just yet. This part of the shield also acts as a nut plate. So we've got some thread locker on this longer bolt, and that goes up through this hole here. Again, if you have the parking brake support bracket, you can go ahead and put that on and put the bolt through, and that will snug things up. If you don't have it, in our case, I'm just going to put the longer bolt through, and I'm using my other hand to push up on the rear shield so we can get that lined up and get it started. All right, now for the driver's side rear part of the shield, we have to loosen these bolts here, and these are all 12mm. And then this one here, we're gonna take this one out. Okay, we're not gonna be reusing this one. Now you need to grab this button head security bolt. You can see I've just already put the thread locker on there and this washer. You need to grab the driver's side rear shield, and you see right there where it has this long cutout. We need to slide that up underneath. Just like that. Take note that I'm also putting the shield up above the front shield. Now we're not snugging that up just yet. And then we're gonna put the last 2 flathead M8 security bits to secure this rear part of the shield. Don't forget to add the thread locker. All right, well, we've got the shields front and back installed on both passenger and driver side here. You can see everything is still kind of loose. You need to make sure that this is not contacting anything that's going to cause it to rattle or vibrate. Pay close attention to the rear shield. Make sure that it's not touching this cross member here. So make sure that it's all the way back or far enough back that it's not going to touch that and rattle or vibrate. Same with this side right here. You can see right there, we're far enough away from it. It looks like it's in the right place. Now here in the front, we also need to make sure that these holes line up. See on both sides? Now if you need to, you can move this around and shift it as much as is necessary to get this to line up before you tighten these. Once you have everything lined up, then we can go through and tighten these. And they do give us the torque spec on these. It's 46 foot-pounds. Now we need to go to the main shield and we need to tighten this bolt here, which goes into that nut plate on the driver's side. So you're gonna have to use your free hand to hold that nut plate or prevent it from spinning. And then we're gonna do that side there, which we won't need to use our free hand up there because that nut plate is basically a part of this rear shield. And then we can tighten these 2 and then these 2 here. We're only tightening these to 80 to 100 inch-pounds. You can go by feel, but if you want to use an inch-pound torque wrench, you can do that as well. If we had that parking brake bracket bolt, we would also be tightening that. But since we don't have it, we're going to skip that step. Okay, now we can tighten these little heat shield bolts. There's the one right here that we replaced. And then we need to tighten the other bolts here that hold that heat shield in place. Luckily, a ratchet still fits up in here. And this last one right here. Okay, now we need to put this engine cover back in here underneath the little end flange right there. I already just started those 2 right there. Looks like maybe those 2 didn't have to come out, but the rest of them did. I'm just gonna get all these started. Again, our engine cover was just a little bit different design than the one in the instruction, but it's back on and it looks good. And you're done. Install is complete, and this one turned out really nice. Really pleased with the overall install. Now, this is not only a cat shield, but this also doubles as a skid plate, or it's almost like armor underneath the vehicle. I mean, this is so heavy duty that will protect those catalytic converters from getting damaged on rocks or anything like that if you do any serious off-roading. I know that they say nothing is really 100% theft proof or 100% protected, but if a thief rolls underneath your vehicle and he sees these, he's probably just going to walk away and move on to the next one. They're not going to waste the time and make the additional noise that they would have to try to cut this off or figure out how to take these off and get those catalytic converters. Fortunately, something like this does exist and you can protect your catalytic converters, protect your investment, protect your car. I mean, even if you do have insurance that would cover something like this, to pay the deductible and go without a vehicle, whether your insurance includes a replacement vehicle, and even just to waste your time running back and forth and getting this repaired, it's just so much nicer to avoid altogether. Unfortunately, catalytic converter theft is just not going away. It just seems to be getting worse, if anything. I keep hearing about people getting theirs stolen in parking lots, malls, even a gated neighborhood nearby just got hit as well, and several cars got their catalytic converters stolen. Now, if you're a victim of this and this has already happened to you, I'm very sorry, and it is terrible. It did happen to me as well on one of our cars, and it is just, it's awful. You just feel violated, and you just feel just so frustrated. It's just terrible. It's such a huge hassle. I've installed several of these cat shields for MillerCat, and I'm very impressed with the overall quality and how they all work. And this one is no exception. The quality on this is just second to none. Putting this on, it just feels so heavy duty. I really like that it almost doubles as armor underneath your vehicle. It's nice and solid, and I'm real happy with how this turned out, and I'm sure the owner will be as well. Now, I just want to say thanks to MillerCat for sending this to me in exchange for this quick little installation video. MillerCat is also kind enough to give me a coupon code. I'll put that up here on the screen. It's Dan the Fix-It Man, and that will get you 5% off site-wide. And of course, I'll also get a link where you can pick up this exact same shield directly from their website as well. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.